Hi, this is Kelly. Welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a witch's grimoire junk journal. This is a fun one. So here I have a little thrifted book. It's about 5.5 by 7.5 inches. And what I started out doing was counting and holding on to 10 pages and then tearing out 10 pages, then holding 10 and counting 10 and ripping 10 out, and that turned out to be not enough. You have to remove a whole lot more pages than that. I actually ended up with only about a dozen pages still in the book, and you can get a thicker book and make enough space and keep more pages, but I wanted to keep this small. But anyway, I'll show you the gaps in between the pages here in a minute. But basically you tear out the pages as close to the spine as you can get it, and use something like those little pliers to grab the small pieces and get them out clean. Now this here, I'm folding the corner over on this page here. This is going to create a pocket, and when you do that, you make sure you keep the next page right behind it, because we're going to glue the bottom portion together, and that creates your pocket. There I was talking about the gaps in it, and that's still not enough, because once you start adding your junk, all your goodies, it gets thicker and thicker, and you don't want the book to sit open and not be able to close it. And typically the first page or two is glued together and glued to the inside of the cover right at the spine. So what I'm doing is gluing the two pages that are already glued together all the way together, and then gluing them down to the inside of the cover on the front and the back. Just get that smoothed down really well. I'm using a glue stick. I use Mod Podge and the glue stick for most of this. Tacky glue here and there. And we want to do the same thing to the other side. I've been having some serious problems editing this video. I'm sitting here praying that this time it's not glitching on me. I'm running way behind schedule. So here I've got the Distressing ink in vintage photo color. And I'm just now learning how to use this ink. Here I'm using a damp baby wipe, which worked fine, but then later I switched to a piece of sponge, just regular old sponge, that I tore a piece off of, and that worked a lot better. It held the moisture longer. I didn't have to keep changing up and everything. And I just had a bowl of water to just dip it in and wring it out really well. You want it just barely damp, not wet. And we're going to distress all around the outside edges of these pages. And also make sure you've torn out enough pages before you start distressing. I ended up distressing more than I needed because I had to go back and tear some out that I'd already done. But luckily it was just a few. It wasn't a big deal, but keep that in mind if you're doing one of these. Now this is some of that Hobby Lobby textured scrapbook paper I had left over. I had just enough for this book, and I'm using tacky glue to attach it to my book. I'm going to leave that black trim showing for now, and we'll spread that out evenly with a paintbrush here. And put our paper in place. I love this paper. I've used it before, and you paint it, it looks kind of like leather. It gives a really nice effect, some nice texture. Press that into place. Once that's dry, we're just going to paint it with our rich black chalk paint. Make sure you get the edges really well. Take some Mod Podge and seal the edges first if you want. I just put like 3 layers of paint on it, nice thick coats of paint on here. And you're gonna have to go back over it at least a second time, because all those nooks and crannies, you're gonna miss some spots. And you're gonna want to go back and forth in different directions and make sure you hit everything, fill all that in. And I go ahead, whoops, little spill. And I go ahead and I do paint that black portion, even though I'm covering that up here in a minute. Now I got these napkins at Ollie's, and they're these real heavy duty, it says on the package, cloth-like napkins, and they're not kidding. It's more like fabric than paper. And we're going to take Mod Podge and lay this down. I already cut it to fit, to wrap around that back there. And tacky glue would probably work better for this because the Mod Podge tends to seep through a little bit where you can see it. But once I'm going to add more paint and distressing later, and it doesn't really matter. It covers that up. So get that on there nice and smooth. Press it down. And here's a few papers that I have here. This is actually a Grimoire kit from Etsy. I'll have the link for you. And there's other odds and end papers that I'm going to put in here that I'm probably not going to be able to find the link to everything. But you go on Etsy and you search junk journal and whatever theme you're looking for, and there's many options. And I'm distressing these pages with my ink, but they come pre-distressed. You know, you want to do a little bit, but a lot of times you don't have to do much to them. These papers, I didn't have to do much at all. I just kind of made sure the edges were a little darker and dabbed it here and there. Yeah, and here I'm using the damp sponge. It worked better. It held the dampness lasts longer with the sponge, and you keep getting it, and it gives a nice effect. Give a more speckled effect, kind of, you know. So we're just gonna Mod Podge this first page in, and you recognize that kitty. that's my witch's familiar. She wanted a picture of her kitty in her book. So now I'm just gonna take my glue stick, protect the page underneath. You don't want to accidentally glue the pages together. And we're gonna glue down this flap. I trimmed it down a little bit. I apologize for any glitches in this video. I fought tooth and nail to get this done. I don't know what happened with Canva. We had a storm yesterday, and I don't know if that corrupted some of my clips, so I did have to cut out some items. I didn't really want to, but a lot of things are, you know, the same thing over and over again, pretty much. You'll get the idea. And I didn't want a 3-hour video, so yeah, we got it done somehow. So I'm just using the glue stick to fold this piece down. This was just another page out of the same kit, done the same way. And all the edges are burned, by the way, on here. I'm so discombobulated. Everything has gone wrong. Dag nabbit, we're getting this video up. That's just the way it is. So we use our glue stick on the back side, and these are just extra pages I had torn out of the book. Protect your pages. And we're going to take the glue stick again, and we're going to just glue down those bottom edges to the next page, and that's our pocket. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. Oh my goodness, I'm amazed you're here with me today. This was going so wrong so many ways. So here's what we got so far. I put that image on the back. I was kind of like, why did I do that? It's going to be covered up by whatever I put in the pocket, but that's alright. It looks pretty cool. So here I've got my cutting mat underneath a few pages here, and we're going to use a ruler, and we're going to cut at about 1.5 inches from the spine, and this creates a little pocket to, you make your own page and tuck in between the two pages. Now I cut 4 of them. I was going to do 2, but I ended up only doing 1 and pulling out the 2 excess. So you see there, that's where your new page is going to glue in between there. And I'm taking a page out of the book to size up a piece. This is, I'm not sure if this is Hobby Lobby or Joann's, but you can find these vintage papers at Hobby Lobby. Scrapbook, you know, those 12 by 12 squares they sell. And that's going to fit right in there. And that's so pretty. But first we got to distress it, of course. I do like this ink. I'm still learning how to use it, but it gives a nice effect. The antique wax, I do like that too, but antique wax tends to repel glue sometimes. This does not. So also, I did glue a kind of a plain piece of scrapbook paper to the back side, glued them back to back, and glued them together. And now we'll glue them together and then cut them. Right, glue them together first, then they're exactly the same. And we just use our glue stick again. The glue stick has been a dream in this project. You know, see, that's kind of the plain Jane side, and of course I distress that as well. And we just get it between those two little flaps and press it down really well. And here's a page that, yeah, I did end up having to remove some pages I'd already distressed. Thank God I didn't do too many. But we're not going to let it go to waste, because we're going to rob this piece to cover up that flap, because you can still see some of the words from the book. We're going to get those edges real quick. Get our trusty little glue stick. That glue stick is just the best for this kind of thing. You don't have glue running everywhere. I Mod Podge the pages to the pages, but for these little pieces and edges, it's a lot easier. Now, see, I took some scraps of that leftover paper from the front and did the corners. I've got washi tape and lace. Here's some more pages I did. I added another piece of paper here. I thought it was kind of boring, and later you'll see I have a piece of chiffon ribbon, and the edges and corners, they can get a little weakened. And then I just, you know, the washi tape's great because it looks really nice, and it's supposed to be junky looking, right? So here's some more pages I glued in, a little bit of crocheted lace, some more washi tape, some textured paper I made that pocket out of. And like I said, I'm sorry I'm kind of going through this kind of quick, but I had to cut out a lot of this video just to get it straight. It was originally 30 minutes long. Now I think it's going to be about 17 to 20 minutes long. These are stickers from Dollar Tree. They're so beautiful, and I'm going to decorate this dragon page with those. And then I found these feathers at Dollar General. I was just bebopping through there and saw them. I'm like, huh, yeah, I know what I could use that for. So I have a dark brown here and a black. The pack had the black and dark brown, and it had like some beige colored flowers, feathers. But of course I just wanted the dark ones, and I didn't want to just put two black. I wanted a little bit of contrasting color here. Glued those down, and then this little piece of lace just to secure it a little better and look a little prettier. Tacky glue. And here's a couple more pages. Now, I don't know, these weren't in the kit. Like I said, there's going to be some random pages here and there that I'm probably not going to be able to get all the links for everything. So I got these clay molds at Amazon. They're for cake fondant, but they work great with this air dry clay. And I'm just kind of stretching it out and rolling it around and getting it to fit. And we're just going to start pressing it into the mold here. Make sure it gets in all the little crevices. And just keep on pressing it. Keep removing the excess. And like I said, make sure it gets in all the little crevices. And try to keep it level with the top of the mold so you have a flat surface to glue later. And we're going to flip it over and start rolling it away from the clay. You see how it starts to pop off of there? Sometimes they'll fall right out, sometimes they'll snag, and when that happens, just very, very gently give it a little help. Got one of these little Dollar Tree cutting boards to make sure I have a nice level flat surface, because you want it to dry nice and flat. And we straighten it out, we want it to dry straight. And here's our book, and of course we painted it with rich black chalk paint just like the rest of the book. And we're going to hot glue it to this portion here. I don't want to cover up any of that textured paper. Get that in position. Hold it in place for a couple minutes. Now I've got this Deco Art Vintage, and I've got this little art sponge, and I'm just dabbing the vintage all over, catching up all those details. And another part I had to cut out was once I do this and let it dry, I'd do the same thing with antique wax and distress it with that as well. I've got a little paper towel here to get up underneath the clay there where the sponge wouldn't work. Oh, there was a glitchy. Sorry about that. I got rid of most of them. It was doing it crazy before. Now I've only got a couple, so yeah, sorry about that. So this little lock is part of that sticker pack I just showed you from Dollar Tree, and we dabbed it with a little black, and now we're dabbing it with a little antique wax as well. Don't trust that sticker. Glue it with hot glue, and once that's dry, we glue it into place. So here we have our book all done. You see I've distressed it. See the color's a little bit different. And we'll go through and take a look. I love that cat. So I've used that cat twice. So here I added some ribbon there, you see. And here's some tags. That's a section of the video I had to cut out, was when I made those tags, and then have the tarot card there. But it was mostly little odds and ends I had to cut out to get this video straight. Here's my potion pages with all my pressed flowers. There's some more of those stickers from the dragon page and some more flowers. I love those Dollar Tree stickers. They're really cool. You can put them on things and paint them and distress them. I just left those just like they were, though. Little rag ribbon there. A couple other random little papers. Another little tag and a little elixir recipe there. There's the page I made. A couple more tags in that other little pocket. That's just some scrapbook paper that's distressed. I glued around the just glued it down on 3 sides to make a little pocket real quick. Some random scraps. There's a couple more pretty little cards, and that pocket's just a strip of heavy paper that I distressed with black chalk paint. So pretty. You can do whatever you want with these. That's what's so fun about them. A couple more random pages. I haven't decorated the last couple pages yet. I'd have never got this done if I tried to do that beforehand. Goodness gracious. I just love how this turned out. So, oh, what is that? Oh, something just fell out of my book. Interesting. Let's see what this is here. What do we got? Oh, it's too small. I can't see. What does that say? Summoning spell. Very interesting. Another glitch. Sorry. Well, now we're just going to have to figure out what to do with this dragonfire resin. Thank you guys so much for being here. Sorry about the glitches. Hopefully Tuesday I won't have this problem. Like, share, comment, and all the things. Come back and see me again. Thanks. Bye.